Oh, man. Nights like this suck. Good evening, everybody. No template. What's going on? It is Monday night, February 1st, 2021. Welcome to this impromptu solo edition of Breakfast Soup Raw. I am Don Tony. Let me explain what's going on, everybody. I don't go on Facebook at all. All those group pages, nothing but garbage. A lot of the moderators are backstabbing jackasses. I just post my content for everyone that supports yours truly, and that's it. So because I tweaked some things last night, I said, let me go on Facebook and DM MISH just to make sure he has the right code to log in today so we could do the show. This was 10 minutes ago. I go on Facebook and I see the number 1 and I'm like, shit. I look on it. MISH is under the weather with the flu. We're not mad at MISH. Sucks. He's sick. I hope he gets better soon. I hope he gets better by tomorrow. But so literally 10 minutes notice. I am here solo to give you a show tonight. Now, big shout out to everybody who's tuning in. I got to tell you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, everybody who stopped by yesterday. First time ever doing a watch along. First time ever, not only streaming YouTube Live, but streaming on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Daily Motion, Periscope. And other than the fact that my software, after the YouTube stream was over, it erased it. It didn't save it. I don't know why. Thank God I always record a backup, and I loaded it yesterday. And if you saw me on Twitter last night, I was on Twitter at 5:30 this morning because I know a lot of you were out there waiting for the show, and the show must go on. But 4 hours, 20 minutes yesterday. The watch along was from the beginning of the pay-per-view to the end. I had a ball. So many of you hung out for the entire night, whether you stood the entire night or you stood for a few minutes. I thank you. I sincerely thank you. Also, which I know a lot of you will enjoy, tomorrow, a new shirt and merchandise store for yours truly is going to launch, and memberships are going to launch. So everyone that's wanted the custom emojis and the banners and other things that I've been coming up with, that'll launch tomorrow. I was hoping it would have been launched today, but with the snow and YouTube not responding all that quick today, tomorrow. So big week. And right now, I know some of you are out there tuning in live from various outlets. So if you have a chat room on Twitch or something, chat, because I got 2 chat screens going right now. I could see you and I could say hello. So anyway, we're 24 hours removed from the Royal Rumble. I had 24 hours to let Edge winning it sink in. And I haven't really changed my feeling from last night. Oh, Addison Miller. Okay. All right. I'll go check it back. He was on Thunderdome right at ringside wearing the ref shirt. Yeah, I will check it out later because I always like to go through Raw and watch it twice. But look, I sort of said some of this last night. I understand there's a lot of you out there that don't like Goldberg, that may have never liked Goldberg, never liked the style, never liked the type of matches. Fine. The people out there that were criticizing Goldberg taking on Drew McIntyre simply because of his age and simply because he's a part-time wrestler, you get yourself caught in a little bit of a situation because now you have Edge winning the Royal Rumble. And yes, he had a match with Randy Orton tonight, and he will be obviously more active than Goldberg. But for anyone out there that thinks that Edge is going to have more than maybe this number of matches before WrestleMania, that's not going to be the case. And you know what? It shouldn't be the case. He's 47 years old. He's coming back from a retirement. And I'll say this, if there was any doubt in anybody's mind that Edge really is back, Not the Edge from 10 years ago, not the Edge that we think he's going to be. He is physically in phenomenal shape. His stamina is, my God, think about it. Think about last night. This guy was originally supposed to come out at number 2. It was supposed to be Randy Orton number 1, Edge number 2 in the Royal Rumble, and they flip-flopped it, and obviously you know now why. Because having Edge come out at number 2, which comes out the same time as number 1, other than the intro, just to have him finish, why would you have Edge come out at number 2, finish the Rumble and win, where you could have him come out at number 1? See how much different that comes across? So they flip-flopped it yesterday. So my point is that you have seen, I mean, what has been, like, ever since they announced Goldberg and Drew McIntyre having their match, what was the biggest conversation that you came across online? Maybe you were part of the conversation, maybe you just lurked, but the conversation is, why do they keep going to part-time older wrestlers when they have a huge roster that needs opportunity, especially in COVID, when wrestlers are just trying to get some type of work in, and they go with Goldberg? So that's been the conversation for a while now. Now you have Edge at 47 years old, winning the Royal Rumble, getting a title opportunity at WrestleMania, and same scenario, different person. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I am a huge Goldberg fan, always was. Even I felt that I didn't like the idea of him versus Drew McIntyre. Not that I thought that Goldberg was going to win. I didn't think that. I had concerns. But the thing is, you know, 1-2 match deal, come back, title shot, lose, win, whatever it is. It's just, you know, they're trying to boost the legacy of Drew McIntyre. He got through Goldberg, but now you got Edge. Now, you know, this goes to all of the people out there. This is when you know people don't have sources. I saw loads of people from last night to around 4 o'clock today, all reporting that Edge was going to take on Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And if you remember last night, we talked about it, and I know a lot of you out there just felt like that doesn't seem to fit. You know, when Goldberg cut his promo about, you know, the roster and not respecting, and it's to Drew McIntyre, it felt like he was reading the script that was meant for Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre doesn't disrespect the locker room. He doesn't disrespect the elders. I mean, it's the complete opposite. So Goldberg's promo didn't make sense in the first place. It felt like it was for Roman Reigns. You think of last night, you think of Edge. Now, use the same mentality. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's live right now. I thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the show. A lot of this is obviously impromptu because I wasn't prepared to do a solo. I was prepared to have a little debating and let Mish talk about the Rumble a little bit. But here's my point. If you keep the mindset right now of Goldberg taking on Drew McIntyre and why Goldberg challenged Drew McIntyre, it felt like it fit Roman Reigns. Lack of disrespect, head of the table, blah, 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 blah. So now, if you go on that mindset, who is better fit to face Edge at WrestleMania? Roman Reigns. Got to be Roman Reigns, right? So last night when Edge won, you had a couple of websites out there reporting that Edge was going to take on Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. So you had all these websites and podcasters cutting and pasting and saying, oh, it's going to be this, going to be this, going to be this. Until Dave Meltzer reported this afternoon around lunchtime that it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Now everybody's got hunches and this and that. You see people changing their tune. Drew McIntyre versus Edge does not fit. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns fits better. The only problem with that is, does anybody really think the way they have boosted up Roman Reigns, they need Roman Reigns to keep that title till the summertime. You have COVID vaccines, going on, and Florida is ahead of the game in a lot of ways, and they're planning 30,000 people in attendance, and they're not just doing a one-off. Obviously they don't have other arenas yet that they can book and travel to and this and that. So once WrestleMania is over, they're back in Florida. But remember, baseball season is coming. Tampa Bay is going to have to play in their stadium. WWE's going to have to do something. Do they go back to the Performance Center? We don't know. It's a long time between now and WrestleMania. 8 weeks is a long time, not just for wrestling and storylines, but with this vaccine and everything going on. So if they are ready to come back and bring fans, especially if there's more vaccines and testing and everything going on, you need Roman Reigns as that heel champion to get fans in there. I'm sorry. I am a fan of Edge. I am happy he returned. My God, think about this. And I don't know if anybody has stopped to think about this. Edge fought yesterday for at least an hour and 10 minutes. Sure, there were points that he was laying out on the mat, but still, an hour. Let's just say an hour. He fought Randy Orton tonight for another 15 to 20 minutes. So talk about a guy who is back and in 24 hours wrestles over an hour. 47 years old, coming back from a major injury. So I have no problem with Edge back. Just in my mind, thinking Edge defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I'm just not feeling that. I mean, a lot of us like nostalgia. My God, you remember what I said about nostalgia earlier this year. It's the people were just really, really pissed off about nostalgia. Remember Sting when he came back? All those people online? And, look, the street fight that Sting is going to have with Darby Allin, it's got to be cinematic. It's got to be pre-recorded. And I don't know, I'll save this more for Wednesday, but since we're on the topic of Sting, did you see the article, the interview that Darby Allin did a few days ago? I'm happy Sting is able to do something. Sting knows his body better than me, you, anyone else out there. Him and his doctors, obviously. And unfortunately, when wrestling is your life for decades, sometimes you think with this and this instead of how your body is going to react. We all become mortal. But I couldn't help but laugh that Darby Allin, one of the questions, like I said, I'll get into it Wednesday more because I don't have the questions in front of me, but he was asked if he felt that is Sting able to return? Is he fit? Does he think he could do it? And Darby Allin talks about how they wanted to film something and he needed to jump a fence. So Darby Allin jumps the fence. And basically the point of the question is that Sting jumped the fence as well. So because Sting could jump a fence, he's good to go for AEW. I thought that was kind of funny, man. We're getting to Christian in a second, Chad. We're getting to Christian. But a lot of you out there right now are saying the same thing. Edge versus Roman Reigns, you feel that there's really only one outcome. And this is my point as far as nostalgia and Sting and everything else. There's a lot of you out there that like a little nostalgia. I like a little nostalgia. I mean, when you have record low ratings and the wrestlers of today are not cutting it, yes, a lot of it is because of WWE creative and the way they book some of this stuff. We'll talk about Raw a little bit tonight. It's everybody's fault. It's not just one side or the other. It's not just Bruce Pritchard. It's not just the wrestlers. It's a combination. But when you bring someone in that could still go, that has a history and drew and, has backed it up, if they can still do it, a little nostalgic is fine. But as far as the overall wrestling public out there, people act like when Edge returned a little over a year ago that he was only on TV once or twice. I remember the ratings, and he did not pop numbers. My point is that I'm happy he's back, and I know a lot of you are happy that he's back as well. But if anybody out there thinks that Edge is going to be a bigger ratings draw on SmackDown as the heavyweight champion instead of Roman Reigns, especially with everything that's going on with Fox and now they're moving to Peacock and everything else, that's not happening. So this storyline has to really start hitting some nerves inside. And, something's got to happen. I almost feel like Edge has to show up on SmackDown this week. Doesn't it feel that way? So, but I will say this, Edge taking on Randy Orton tonight. How many of you out there, like me, didn't think that match was going down? We thought that maybe another match was going to go on first, and then Edge and Randy Orton come out maybe like 5-6 minutes before 11, and then we get some Fiend interruption. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. Willie Beeman, what's up, man? Thank you very much for the kind words. But, man, Edge and Randy Orton had a phenomenal match. And look, in this day and age, we're not used to so many no contests as main events. You go back to the Attitude Era. Yes, a lot of it was camouflaged with great storylines and top-notch wrestlers and just, everything about it, the entertainment value. But, we're kind of not used to these repeated no contest, no contest, no contest, no contest. Now, today actually ended up with a pin. Alexa Bliss. And let me tell you, a match with Nikki, and yes, I know. So some people tonight were like, why are they doing Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross again? And I'm like, well, why do you think? Because this way I could do it one more time. Lexi, I got my family in Scotland. I can't lose. Lexi. Freaking Nikki Cross falls for it again. I don't know how you all feel. With this pre-recorded stuff with Alexa Bliss. And I brought this up before. I mean, obviously, you got to have a couple of screws loose not to realize this. Yes, the broadcast is live, but some interview segments are pre-recorded. Some skits are pre-recorded. A lot of the stuff with Alexa Bliss tonight was pre-recorded. And, some people that still aren't aware of how Thunderdome works. I've been in Thunderdome 4 times. 4. I think I went like this. 4 times I've been in Thunderdome. And for some of you out there that still don't know how it works, when you're in Thunderdome, unless you see yourself on TV and you know where you are and you're ringside, if you're in Thunderdome, and let's say you're ringside, but you don't know you're there, and a wrestler walks by you, it's not like your camera angle is where you're sitting. If anybody out there has ever bought tickets from like a Ticketmaster and you're trying to look at seats and you're curious like, oh, where is this in the building? And they have like a virtual map set up that you click on the seat and it shows you your vantage point of like the basketball court or the wrestling ring or whatever it is. That's not how Thunderdome works. When you're in Thunderdome, what you see on your computer screen is what we see on cable TV, USA Network, better said, USA Network. You see the same exact thing. That's why when a wrestler walks past people at ringside, and when Matt Riddle's going like this, when they're going, bro, and he's going like this, almost like fist bumping the LED screens. If I was sitting at ringside and Matt Riddle's walking by me and he's about to do a fist bump, whether I'm an LED screen or in person, I go like this. Matt Riddle walks by and he goes like this, and you have people like, they have no idea that they're walking by because what they see on the TV screen on their Thunderdome is what we see at home. So, my point is, I don't know if you like these camera cuts that they're doing with Alexa Bliss. First, she's dressed like this. Then she's dressed like, old school. Then she's dressed like, Firefly Funhouse. Then suddenly there's a hoppity horse in the ring, a rocking horse, and this and that. They don't just, like, throw it in the ring. The swing set, somehow they're able to install it and put it together in 5 seconds. This is all pre-recorded stuff. Enjoy it. If you're enjoying that right now, enjoy it. Because when they go back to fans in attendance and everything is live, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. Alexa Bliss, suddenly having, the black mascara and everything like that halfway in the match, that's not going to happen anymore. And for people that are asking me how I feel about it, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. We're in the middle of COVID. Hopefully the beginning of the end is here. But so obviously things need to be extra creative. The piping in of crowd noise, I've been wanting that since March of last year. I don't mind that they pipe in, this is awesome and this and that. It is what it is right now. My only problem with the Alexa Bliss stuff, does anybody know? Anybody going to agree with me? The commentators. I mean, what is Will Smith there with the wand? And somehow they have all the announcers have a blackout for a second. They're like, oh, do you hear that? It actually makes a noise. Look. I mean, really, what is it? There's at ringside, they're watching the ring. And Alexa Bliss somehow has a change of clothes. What is going on? What is going on? Don't believe what I'm seeing. The fuck up. Come on, man. That's kind of stupid. The commentators, this is just, I don't like the commentators doing it. Seriously, every time Alexa Bliss, suddenly the little rocking horse is in the ring. I don't know what's going on. What is happening here? Come on, man. You're looking right at the ring the whole time. Seriously. Oh, that's the only thing I don't like about it is the commentator. Because honestly, what are they supposed to say? Joe, you were looking at the ring. What happened? Joe, what happened? Did we blink in an eye? Like, what happened? Were you just knocked out for a second? Did I just like... Seriously. And by the way, slip of the tongue. Me always trying to go outside the box. Think outside the box. Edge said something, and I wrote it down word for word. Edge said something in his promo tonight. By the way, Edge's promo was phenomenal. Talking about how he defeated, 29 other men and this and that, but he made one sentence that's interesting because it doesn't apply to Roman Reigns. Edge said tonight, I'm going to take back a championship that I never lost. Well, for people that may not remember, it was WrestleMania 27. Yes, I wrote it down. I don't want to make a mistake. It was WrestleMania 27 when he retained the title against Alberto Del Rio, and then he had to retire because of injury. So he said tonight, I want to take back a championship that I never lost. That's not Roman Reigns' title. That's the WWE Championship, I believe. Or was it the World Heavyweight Championship? It might have been the World Heavyweight Championship, but still. That title, you know what I mean? So that kind of causes a little confusion. But, hey, something that Mish and I talked about for the last 2 months, they finally pulled the plug tonight. I thought it was a little bit uneventful, to be honest with you. Opening of Raw tonight, Drew McIntyre hits the ring. Drew McIntyre, giving praise to Edge. Drew McIntyre very soft-spoken today. Edge comes out and basically says to Drew McIntyre, like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? If I come after your title, I just eliminated 29 men. I'm the ultimate opportunist. What's wrong with you? You're like pandering to me. You're praising me. What's wrong with you? Like, be pissed. You want to knock my block off. That's what Edge was telling him. But here we go with the Keith Lee shit again. Sheamus enters the ring. And basically, Edge is kind of doing what Keith Lee did to Drew McIntyre, like, watch your back. Watch your back. Now, let's think outside the box again. Didn't it feel like Edge knew that Sheamus was going to kick Drew McIntyre? Anyone else out there feel that way? I'm just checking you all out right now. Anybody feel that way? I'm looking at chat room. By the way, big shout out again to everybody who's tuning in live. Yeah, Neil said it and a few others are saying it. It felt like Edge knew that because even, like Sheamus is like, what are you implying, fella? What are you implying, fella? And I'm like, come on, this is the same shit they did with Keith Lee. So Edge just leaves, and then Sheamus bro kicks Drew McIntyre. I mean, at least have, some build up the last couple of weeks. I mean, it just like an out of nowhere. I mean, look, I don't mind the RKO out of nowhere, the RK out of nowhere, whatever you want to call it, but the bro kick out of nowhere, But we've been wanting Drew versus Sheamus for a while. Now, obviously, this is the pit stop on the road to WrestleMania. This is the rest area. We have a pay-per-view before WrestleMania, obviously. So Drew McIntyre obviously needs an opponent for the next pay-per-view. So Sheamus is the one to fit that bill. There's no way Sheamus is going to defeat Drew McIntyre for the heavyweight title. So they're going to do this feud, and then Sheamus is now a heel again. So it is what it is. Before I continue with the Raw recap, Christian, Carlito, let's talk about those two for a minute. Probably my favorite moment last night, and I'm sorry for anyone out there that's tremendous Edge fans, but seeing Christian back in that ring, and not only in the ring, but actually doing moves, taking bumps, taking some hard-ass bumps, and looking like he hasn't aged at all. I watched his interview segment that, I don't know if it was Caleb Braxton in an interview, and I don't remember, but it was after the Royal Rumble last night, and he was asked, are you back? And Christian said that all he wanted was a retirement match, his last match, one more match. And he said, this might be it. And he walked off. Now, yesterday, when I did the watch along, we all had a conversation about Christian. And, you feel almost like, and if you remember when Christian first was forced into retirement, we felt like it was forced. And you feel in some ways WWE doing the very same thing with Mickie James. The only difference is Mickie James doesn't have any type of an injury. Forcing the legend narrative. And again, for anybody that's new to these shows, trust me, absolutely adore Mickie James. She's a Hall of Famer. She is a legend, no question. But WWE's definition of a legend is a lot different than ours. Their definition of a legend is someone who obviously, has paved the way and is, a huge superstar, but it also, in that explanation, someone who cannot go anymore or, for the most part, is done. And they keep forcing that narrative with Mickie James. And like I said, it was great to see her in the Royal Rumble yesterday because, trust me, I'm sorry for doing it again, but one of the things that I did not want to feel is that if Mickie James was going to end up leaving WWE, I didn't want one of the last thoughts of Mickie James is her in the ring looking at the referee like, WWE, I don't know if it's because of the Nick Aldis comments, but man, the way they have used her, it's sad. But we felt, Darren, I'm not going to pull up Webster's dictionary right now. You know what legend means. WWE has a little extended version of it. But Christian, we always felt that he was forced into retirement. And he's done some interviews over the years that basically led to us believing that he can still do it. It's just that he wasn't cleared by WWE's doctors. Well, there's reports today, not my sources, but, other reports. I want to clear that because I'm not going to be one of those that reads tweets and says, oh, my sources tell me. But Meltzer and a bunch of others today said that Christian was cleared last week to return to the ring. This could be similar to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan thought that he could return sooner. WWE's doctors would not clear him right away. They have some really, really, really strict protocol. So Christian apparently was cleared last week. What does this mean? Christian is going to return to the ring. And I got news for you. I know they have teased Jeff Hardy with Matt Riddle. Tonight we got Jeff Hardy and Carlito, which was nice. I think Jeff Hardy and Christian could obviously team up a little bit and do some stuff. I'd like to see Edge and Christian. The thing is, we don't know what's going to happen with Christian. We don't know if he's going to be on Raw. We don't know if he's going to be on SmackDown. Obviously, if Edge is going to challenge Roman Reigns for the belt, there's going to be a lot of SmackDown interaction because right now, Edge is a Raw wrestler. So if he challenges Roman Reigns, how do you get Christian on SmackDown? I know they have that, that interpromotional invitational thing, but I don't know how much that could apply to Christian. But I am so looking forward to see Christian getting himself back in the ring and doing what he has done before. It was so cool to see that yesterday. Honestly, out of everything, and I'm not trying to take away anything from Bianca Belair, she did phenomenal yesterday. For weeks and weeks and weeks, she was my pick to win it. Then at the very end, I just had that thought like, don't rush it. Get back to normal with fans and live fans and, take your time. And next year's WrestleMania, you go full-blown with Bianca Belair. They chose to do it now. That's fine. There's no reason why Bianca Belair can't do it again next year. So I want to give a shout-out. Puffy89, they should add Nikki transform. You know what? That's good because Nikki Cross's music today, I don't remember the notes in my head, but the music was like blah, 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 blah. And she's jolting to the ring like Ultimate Warrior music. If you listen to that music, she should be coming down slowly, methodically, and she just books to the ring. I don't know what's up with that music, man. I don't know. I don't know why they changed it. I mean, they could have eliminated the screams because they don't want her to be the psycho because of mental health and everything, and that's fine. But, man, that music is, talk about generic garbage. And I got to show you something else. I don't know if you all saw this picture, but check this out. Check this picture out. This was yesterday. Now, how cool is that picture? That is most of the women that were in the Royal Rumble. Nice to see the Iconics hugging in the middle. And it's such a cool picture. But as I looked a little bit closer, and I'm sorry for the primitive zooming here, but as I'm like looking around, now obviously they're looking towards their right as far as the camera. Well, Ember Moon is looking this way, as Lana. There's Toni Storm, Santana Garrett, Dana Brooke, Tori Wilson, Jillian Hall, Nia, everybody. But you see this, like everybody's got a nice smile on their face. What a feel-good moment. You see those goofs today saying that, the vibe in the locker room yesterday was some of the best that it's been in recent memory. Yeah, it's because they saw all these pictures. They have no exclusive scoops with that, the vibe in the locker room. But as you look, as we go this way, and we start seeing Sasha with a mild smile on her face, her arch rival sitting right in front of her. Look at that, Carmella. All right, I'm doing this on purpose for a reason. Hey, you don't look like a woman, but that's not why. All right, now we go over here. There's only one person that is not smiling. What's up with that? I noticed it. I'm sorry. I don't know. I figured I'd just throw that out there. But yeah, she didn't look like she was all that happy to be there, you know. But what a cool picture, man. Seriously. What a cool picture. Tyson Kidd. Hey, man, I like Tyson Kidd. Such a shame about his injury. But Nikki Cross is the only one without a smile on her face. Yeah, I feel bad, man. Nikki Cross, you could tell. Don't tell me, that, I got a job, I got my farmland in Scotland, I got money. No, I think she's got to be disappointed at how WWE has used her. They've made her look like, I'm sorry for, I'm a huge animal lover. You've seen me cry, talking about my dog. But she's made her come across as a dumb, abused dog. Some people out there, unfortunately, abuse their pets. And what happens with a dog? Most of the time, you abuse it, neglect it, and no matter how many times you do it, you open up that door and that dog runs after you, wagging a tail, hoping that this will be the day that my master will be nice to me. And that's what Nikki Cross has been with Alexa Bliss. She keeps falling for the dumb shit every time. That's WWE's fault. But, Alexa Bliss tonight, not just a match with Nikki Cross, the end of Edge and Randy Orton. My God. For those that didn't see it, Edge and Randy Orton had a phenomenal 15 to 20-minute match, commercial interruptions, but really, wasn't a gaga match. I mean, they did some power moves to the table. Edge was spiked. Table did not break. And there's one point. Now, I'm looking at the clock as this match is going on. And we were at 10:59. And I'm saying to myself, this cannot end in a clean pin. I mean, Randy Orton had put Edge on the middle rope and spiked him into the mat. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe Fiend. But instead, we got, the sound effects. And suddenly Alexa Bliss is sitting on the top turnbuckle on the left. She's looking at Randy Orton. And I guess they're trying to simulate that she's got blood all coming out of her mouth. If you've ever seen like a horror film and somebody, gets like stabbed in the stomach or gets, injured in the midsection or the heart, suddenly they're like blood starts coming out of their mouth. That's what they tried to. Now they just had it coming out like if I really wanted to, I could take a slug of this and just dribble drool out of my mouth and it would look the same, just clear. And I'm not going to do that, obviously, for no super chat, so don't even think about it. But, very dark, very dark. And Randy Orton's looking at her like, what the fuck? Edge spears him, gets the pin. But Alexa Bliss continuing the mind games. This is the diversion now. The Fiend has to come back now. The Fiend, time to come back. Next week, Fiend and Randy Orton, because Randy Orton's got to go this way, Edge has got to go this way. It's got to happen. I don't know if they're milking Randy Orton and Fiend all the way to WrestleMania. That is an awfully long time to get from point A to point B. But you could, yeah, exactly, Neil. But that's where they got to go with this. That's it. End of the feud. Edge of Randy. Speaking of end of feuds, I was happy to see Jeff Hardy and Carlito in the ring tonight, especially Carlito. 10 years. Now, I will admit, I did find it funny to see so many people out there. And again, I don't talk about you or just regular wrestling fans, because I don't expect every wrestling fan to follow every little nook and cranny of product out there. But it's always the same people that claim they watch this promotion, that claim they watch this promotion, that claim they watch Glow, that claim they watch this. And I watched yesterday and today websites and podcasters who claim that they watched all the series of Glow and everything else. And I'm saying to myself, you had no idea yesterday that Carlito was jacked to that level. If anything, Carlito was even more jacked when he was in Glow. He got tight and cut and looked phenomenal. Guy could still go. I think he's like, what, 41 years old? Did I write it down? I think I wrote down his age. I think he's 41. Carlito is 41. 10 years it took for him to get back. Guy's got the look, man. Now let's see what WWE does with him. I don't know what type of contract he has now, but Ryan Armstrong, shout out to you, my friend. He's tuning in a little bit late. Mish, about 10 minutes before we went live, I had found a DM from Mish that he is sick with the flu. So Mish has the night off, and I hope Mish feels better. So it's all good, you know, no issues. He actually DM'd me about 2 hours before the show went live, but I don't ever go on Facebook. So I happened to go on there 10 minutes before the show started and make sure that Mish had the right link to connect tonight. And then I found the DM that he can't come on. So, yeah, thoughts are with Mish, man. The guy's gone through a lot, man. I mean, I know some of you know about his situation with his cat. And now, you know, that guy's battling the flu on top of it. He can't win. So, you know, I hope he's okay. Seriously. He doesn't have COVID, Dylan. That was another thing. He had a big COVID scare not too long ago. By the way, cheap plug, as I say always, if you're enjoying the show and you're on YouTube right now, I'd appreciate it if you gave the show a thumbs up. The more you do that, the more the recommendations, YouTube spits it out to others. Don't forget tomorrow, the merchandise store is going to launch. Oh. I could finally start putting stuff like this on sale. Deli Club stuff will finally be on sale. I don't have to worry about Pro Wrestling Tees with their cease and desists. And no, you can't sell that merchandise. We will finally be able to put Deli Club stuff on sale. And when we do the memberships and everything, you know, there's going to be so much stuff. I've been working on this. You have no idea for the last 2 weeks especially. You know, I've been a very grumpy boy outside of the shows, but, you know, I'm trying to really, you know, get everything advanced. And again, for everyone who's tuning in tonight that's not on YouTube, but checking it out through one of the other mediums, welcome aboard, man. Yesterday, we had a total of almost 7,000 people checking out the Royal Rumble watch-along. And, look, I got feedback from a ton of you out there. Not everybody likes watch-alongs. A majority of you did. First time I ever did a watch-along. I think we did a pretty damn good job, and it also streamed across 6 platforms, so we'll keep doing it. But, so getting back to Raw, you know, tonight was the blow-off match with Randy Orton and Edge. You know, and we'll see where it goes, but The Fiend has to return. I don't mind these little cuts and pauses and splices and, you know, outfit changes and makeup changes for Alexa Bliss to try to make it special effects. But what's going to happen in a couple of months when live fans return? And you can't do that anymore unless it's a backstage pre-recorded segment. You know, a lot of Alexa Bliss. See, this is the thing people need to remember. And I'm not knocking it. Like I said, I'm enjoying it all. I have to think a little bit ahead of this right now. Alexa Bliss, when she's acting invincible in the ring like a monster that feels no pain. What WWE has done every time that's happened is she's had a wardrobe change. She's had makeup change. Her hair has changed. A lot about her changed. So you're not going to be able to do that down the line. So what happens to that aspect of her character? I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised. And I know a lot of you are not going to like what I'm about to say, but I have a feeling that within a couple of months, maybe even by WrestleMania time or a short time after, Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, those characters are going to go their separate ways, and Alexa Bliss will be back to her original self. I'm telling you, I could see it happen. And by the way, and again, you know, we're going back and forth with Raw tonight. There's no reason for me to sit here and go, oh, opening match this and this match. We get into everything. The things that stand out. And if you want to watch Raw, if you haven't seen it and fill in the blanks, you're more than welcome to. Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley. Matt Riddle. MVP in Bobby Lashley's corner. A lot of us thought that match was going to happen at the Royal Rumble. Maybe it is the pre-show. Didn't happen. It was tonight on Raw. Once again, ends in a bullshit finish. Basically, Bobby Lashley puts on the Hurt Lock to Riddle. Submission moves, won't break it. DQ'd. And Bobby Lashley just snaps. I mean, he just tossed around Matt Riddle. He had that Hurt Lock on. And I tell you, he just looked phenomenal. Even though I'm now a fan of Riddle's, Bobby Lashley tonight was perfect in what he did. He just, I mean, when he put the Hurt Lock on Riddle, now if any of you out there have ever like wrestled in your house with your friends, and if you've ever put on like the Master Lock or the Hurt Lock, you know, you push against the neck a little bit, that shit does legit hurt. Now imagine picking up Riddle and swinging him back and forth like that. I mean, obviously Riddle's got very strong neck muscles, but that shit looks like it's got to hurt, man. Oh man, that looked like it got to hurt. But I was confused. Because MVP, now later on when he did commentary, MVP's like, oh, I never saw that side of Lashley before. Lashley would not break the hold. Tossed Riddle, put it back on, tossed Riddle again, put it back on, threw him over the front row of the LED screens and everything. And during half of this, MVP is trying to calm down Lashley. And Lashley had looked for 1 minute that Lashley and MVP might have some type of issue with each other. And I'll be honest with you, as I'm watching that, the only thought that kept going through my head was, this is the Hurt business. Their whole thing is hurting people. And to see MVP like trying to get Lashley to stop and everything, I'm like, I don't know, man. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. But Lashley right now looks like, pardon my language, I'm trying not to curse too much tonight. Lashley tonight looked like a fucking monster. And I hope WWE has some big plan for Lashley. It doesn't seem like, you know, but remember this, something that a lot of people aren't thinking about right now. For the Women's Royal Rumble yesterday, for about 2 months, my pick to win it was Rhea Ripley. When I did predictions on Friday, I was talking about the possibility of, actually I should go a little bit further back. Originally it was Bianca Belair. Then I changed to Rhea Ripley because I felt that, you know, Bianca Belair, you don't want to rush it, especially when we don't have fans live yet, you know. But again, no reason why they can't push her next year and the year after and the year after. So I'm fine with Bianca Belair. She did phenomenal yesterday. She stood out probably better than everyone else. And I know that little controversy that some people are saying of 2 feet did touch the floor yesterday when her and Rhea Ripley were dangling. If you didn't see what I'm talking about, go look at it online. But, you know, my pick in the end was Rhea Ripley. And I also said that we got to be careful about this because I would love to see Rhea Ripley against Asuka, but you cannot eliminate the possibility of Charlotte taking on Asuka. And I said yesterday on the watch along that I expected Charlotte and Asuka to have some type of miscommunication today, and this starts to split between the two. And we got that today, a little bit different, but I'll let you know where I'm going with this. They announced a triple threat tag team match tonight. Now, they were very cute with their words. Not number one contender, not facing the tag champs on the next pay-per-view, but a future tag title shot. Shout out to Lewis 1016. Decimation Jones wants to see Asuka versus Charlotte too. I wouldn't mind that. Oh, you will get it. I think you'll get it. But let me get to my point, because a lot of people aren't thinking about this right now. Might piss off some of you. So today we get a tag team match. It's Asuka and Charlotte versus Dana Brooke and Mandy and Lana and Naomi. I kind of like the tag team of Lana and Naomi. You know, Lana actually could dance, you know, and it was funny because Naomi gave Lana her shades to put on tonight. And, you know, when Naomi runs down the rampway and then slides with her knees to the end, they tried to do it in sync. And Lana flew. She was like way ahead of Naomi. I like that tag team. I do. I really like it. I don't know why, but I really like it. So you have tonight Asuka and Charlotte versus Mandy and Dana versus Naomi and Lana. And early on in the match, Asuka and Charlotte were not in this match at all. And it was kind of funny because I'm watching Dana Brooke and Lana going at it in the ring. And then watching Lana and Mandy Rose going at it. And if you look at Asuka and Charlotte, Charlotte's got her look on his face like, and I'm being a little bit exaggerating here. She's like, the fuck am I looking at here? You're like, you could see like they're in such a different league to these other women. But what ends up happening is we're having a competitive match and Ric Flair's music hits once again. And if you think of the storyline, why doesn't Charlotte just ignore her father and just keep continuing the match? I mean, you're getting a number one contendership. Why is Charlotte so rattled that she can't finish a match? And this kind of made Asuka look stupid tonight as well. And you know I am a huge fan of Asuka. I don't like what they've done to Asuka the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks, they've made Asuka look like a vulnerable goof. Just seriously, because Alexa, you know, turns her head backwards, Asuka's all shooken up. Because suddenly she's got, you know, black mascara on, Asuka's all freaked out. Because because Alexa Bliss says, don't mention his name. I think you would have looked down. You would have saw that she peed in fright. So today, Ric Flair's music hits. He comes out with Charlotte. I mean, with Lacey Evans. And Charlotte tags Asuka into the match. And Charlotte is just like, I don't want to be in a match. And she just walked down the steps. And instead of Asuka being Asuka, she's ready for anybody and just charging the other team. And this is storyline. This is not Asuka really doing this herself. But instead of Asuka just focusing on the match and doing her thing and this and that, she's like trying to like say to Charlotte, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you distracted? What's wrong? And she's looking like all discombobulated and confused. And what happens? Asuka gets nailed, gets pinned, they lose. Just really, really, really dumb. Now, get to my point with Bianca Belair. So my thinking all along was that Rhea Ripley would take on Asuka, or the possibility of Charlotte. If Charlotte and Asuka split after they lost the tag titles and Charlotte defeats Asuka for the title before WrestleMania, and then we get a WrestleMania rematch of Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Another idea is Rhea Ripley could challenge Asuka for the championship if she would have won the Royal Rumble, and then somehow Charlotte gets put in the mix, and it's kind of what happened with Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and then Charlotte. Because if you remember back then, I said all along I wanted Charlotte in that match with Ronda and Becky Lynch. So Bianca Belair wins the Royal Rumble. Bianca Belair is going to challenge Sasha Banks. I know a lot of websites are saying that WWE is undecided. And just think about it for a minute. Just think about the storyline. Think about the interactions with Sasha and Bianca Belair. Think of their styles. Think of their attitudes. And I'm saying this in a complimentary way. And then you look at Asuka and Bianca Belair, it doesn't feel like there's like chemistry. Sasha and Bianca feels like there would be instant chemistry between the two. So people saying that they're unsure, I think this is just clickbaiting and trying to tease people. But here's my point. If Sasha Banks is going to take on Bianca Belair, that means we have no opponent for Asuka at WrestleMania. So now we could end up with the Elimination Chamber. And we could end up having, after all of this, Charlotte versus Asuka, or Rhea Ripley versus Asuka, or we could get some type of bullshit finish where it ends up being a three-way. We could possibly even get Charlotte versus Asuka at the next pay-per-view. So even though you have Bianca Belair versus Sasha, we have no opponent for Asuka. So for all of you out there that did not want to see Charlotte get another title opportunity, get ready. Get ready. Lana versus Asuka. I know why you're saying that, C-Med. I know you're joking too, but some people are very serious about that. And by the way, I'm sorry if you see me doing this. I don't do coke. I didn't take allergy medicine yesterday or today, and I'm feeling it with all these lights. Anybody out there, you get bright lights and then you start like sneezing for some reason? I don't know what it is, but. So the split with Asuka and Charlotte has begun. It'll happen again next week. We'll probably have a backstage segment where Asuka's telling her to get her head straight and this and that. She might even make a remark to Charlotte, and Charlotte will just deck her. And you see that a mile away. So, yeah, Daniel, seriously, go Google it. Some people, when you get like bright light in like your eyes or your nose for some reason, you know what it might be, seriously? Because obviously my nose doesn't have eyes. So my nose can be like, oh, light, achoo. No, I think it's the heat coming off of the lights. What's up, Ken? What's going on? I neglected somebody earlier. 10. Happy 21. 2/1/21. Yes, 2/1/20. Wow, I didn't even think of that today. Today is 2/1/21. Oh, that's awesome, man. Last year, could you believe it's almost already 3.5 months since we celebrated the 10-year anniversary of 10/10/10? It's amazing how time flies. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. So, by the way, we'll get back to Alexa Bliss a little bit later. A little bit of disturbing news going on online. I don't like doxing people. And no, I'm not putting this person's personal address or anything online. But since his social media account is public for everyone, after I show you a couple of things tonight, you might want to pay him a visit. That's all I'm going to say right now. So let's fill in the blanks for the rest of Raw tonight. We'll get into a couple other tidbits and we'll get out of here. We're at 57 minutes. I definitely want to be done within the next 30 minutes. Remember, I'll be back here on Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Thursday, we'll do another AMA, Ask DT. Friday's the Don Tony Show. And we got some other things going on. Thank you, Crazy Cruiserweight. And that's very kind of you for super chatting it. You didn't have to, but you know I appreciate it as always. He wanted to give everyone the main event results for tonight. Angel Garza beat Ricochet with his feet on the ropes. Humberto Carrillo over Drew Gulak. My God. Why have they not debuted the woman with Angel Garza yet? You think about that. That storyline is approaching Emma territory. I mean, why? Why is it so hard for them to go ahead with this storyline? I mean, a lot of us thought it was going to be Eva Marie. I mean, that hasn't happened. Hell, a lot of people were reporting, I got exclusives, Damian Priest is going to be on SmackDown. Yeah, I don't think so. Damian Priest tonight. I know what I'm about to say is going to feel like a little bit of a stretch. It's definitely a stretch. Do you remember when John Cena, I'm not saying Damian Priest will ever be on the level of John Cena. That's not criticism. I am a big fan of Damian Priest. I have been saying it for over a year in NXT. He's got it. Just needs a little bit more seasoning and the right storyline. He's got it. I don't know how far WWE will push him, but obviously you see him, he just comes across his main roster. When John Cena first came into WWE, and he had the challenge with Kurt Angle beat him. You remember that backstage segment with The Undertaker, and he gave the handshake, put out his hand for John Cena, and he just commended him, great match. You all remember that? I always looked at that as a locker room leader. just praising an up-and-coming star. I'm not saying Edge is a locker room leader right now because Edge has not been there. But when Edge, gave the handshake to Damian Priest, it felt similar where you have an old school legend, because Undertaker, even 20 years ago, we felt that he was, one of the leaders of WWF, larger than life, locker room, just Hall of Famer, in the making. It felt like someone older showing appreciation, not passing the torch, but giving their nod of approval. I felt that way about Undertaker to Cena. I felt that way about Edge to Damian Priest today. That nod of approval, I like that, man. I like that. Now, we had Bad Bunny make another appearance today. Now, for any of you out there like me that never paid any attention of Bad Bunny, I know Ryan Satin posted something and a few others as well, but Ryan Satin's obviously gets the most exposure, so I saw that one more than anything else. But if you're questioning why Bad Bunny made these two appearances, I suggest you go check out Ryan Satin's Twitter feed today and look at a screenshot that he posted of, I guess, some YouTube song that he might be in it with Cardi B or someone else. Now, yes, I know Cardi B gets crazy views, but there are other screenshots of other performances that Bad Bunny has done. And you're talking 100 million views or 10 million views, whatever it was, the amount of views. And he got mainstream press today. So I can't criticize the guy. I'm not into that music. I thought the music video of Booker T was pretty cool. We were poking fun at it yesterday because Booker T, that all he did was stand like this, didn't blink an eye until it was one verse, "Can you dig it, sucker?" I can dig it. But Bad Bunny gets a hell of a lot of exposure. So that's why they had him on. But today, they put Bad Bunny with Damian Priest. They're in the back, and basically Miz and Morrison, they invite Bad Bunny to the ring. All three of them are sitting in the ring. Now, I immediately Googled, I'm not going to lie, I Googled to see if Bad Bunny speaks English because I didn't want like the 3-word one-liner thing. And his English is better. In 2017, 2018, it was pretty shot, but he can speak a little bit English. And basically, Miz and Morrison are apologizing to Bad Bunny for yesterday. And they also feel that Bad Bunny owes an apology to them because of what happened with the Royal Rumble. Because remember, Damian Priest eliminated Miz and Morrison. So Bad Bunny's basically not having it. And he's got a friend that wants to come down to the ring, and Damian Priest's music hits. And they're acting like Bad Bunny and Damian Priest are friends. Next thing you know, Damian Priest knocks Miz on his ass, decks him in the face, and Miz gets knocked out of the ring, and Morrison just looking at him like, what'd you do that for? And Morrison rolls out. We go to commercial, so somebody's having a match with Damian Priest when we get back. So we had Miz and Miz and Damian Priest have a match. Bad Bunny was in Priest's corner. Morrison was in Miz's corner. And we had a funny segment. The briefcase was in the corner of the ring, and Bad Bunny had a microphone in his hand. And at one point, Miz goes to grab the briefcase, I guess, to use it during the match. Bad Bunny pulls it away, and Morrison comes up to Bad Bunny. He's like, give me the briefcase. And it was funny because early when Miz and Morrison were in the ring with him, I guess they were trying to do some Latino singing. Like Morrison was doing something in a different language, and it was kind of goofy. It was kind of funny too as well. But basically, Morrison is trying to get the briefcase back from Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny hands it to him, but then clocks him in the head with the microphone. And Damian Priest nails his finisher on Miz and gets the win. Damian Priest debuts on Raw with a win, looked excellent. I got to see who they're going to make him feud with. Some of you out there immediately think maybe Damian Priest and Bobby Lashley. That's not a bad idea. I'll tell you the truth. Once Keith Lee is back, maybe you have a little bit of Keith Lee and Damian Priest. And I know, because NXT, but you go back, they actually should be able to nail it, even on the WWE main roster, because obviously the style is different on the main roster. Oh, no, Benjamin. Morrison could very well speak Spanish, but it was just whatever they were doing, it just felt like they were mocking Bad Bunny. And, it was pretty funny. I just rhymed. I'm a poet in case you didn't know it. Bad Bunny, that was pretty funny. By the way, in case you're not aware of it, we mentioned it yesterday. Best wishes go out to Mia Yim. Mia Yim currently has COVID-19. And it was terrible because some people on social media, we'll segue to Alexa Bliss now. Some people on social media sometimes can't separate the character from the wrestler. And some people were kind of happy and jovial that Mia Yim, reckoning, got COVID-19. Very, very disturbing. Just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like I said, social media is toxic. I mean, it's sad. It's really sad. But I tell you, we don't know if Keith Lee caught COVID as well. Because obviously Mia Yim and Keith Lee are an item. I could only speculate that even if Keith Lee did not have COVID, he probably had to quarantine for 2 weeks just to be safe. And with the Royal Rumble around the corner, they were not taking any chances. Remember, because Keith Lee was featured on the Royal Rumble, that cartoon poster that they did, which was really nice, but he did not appear. Someone else that did not appear yesterday, and we pointed it out during the Roman Reigns-Kevin Owens match, Jey Uso was nowhere to be found. Jey Uso was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble. And I got to go back and look to see, well, actually, I just answered my own question, like who could have possibly filled in for Jey Uso? Could have been the Hurricane, could have been Kane. In fact, it was pretty cool. We found out today that Kane was donating his pay from the Royal Rumble. Did they say where he was going to donate it? Okay. He is donating the money he got paid for the Royal Rumble to the Knox County Mayor's Applied Technology Scholarship Fund for the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, Knoxville. So, a lot of words there, but TCAT Knoxville that he's donating the money to, which is pretty cool. Something else from yesterday. Some of you were convinced you saw Vince McMahon in the gorilla position. There were reports all over the net today that Vince McMahon was not at the Royal Rumble yesterday. Some people were making a big deal out of it. He never misses pay. Look, his brother just died a little over a week ago. So, that could be the reason. I don't think anybody out there should speculate, try to think that there's something tremendously wrong. Let's hope that there's not. But the fact that he just lost his brother a little more than a week ago, that could be the reason why Vince McMahon was not there. So, let's see what else. Oh, let's mention this briefly. You always hear me talking about social media. I mean, it's sad to see, people who have just, they live off of social media. That's all they do. But unfortunately, some people are just whack jobs on social media. And it's sad because sometimes you try to give the benefit of the doubt because a lot of people do have issues. COVID, has hurt everyone out there physically, emotionally, a combination thereof. So you try to not push it or assume that just someone is just a loser, But in the case of what's going on with Alexa Bliss right now, you think about Sonya Deville. and you think about how bad that ended up, this, and I'm not trying to be melodramatic here, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, but this is something that I personally think authorities have to be looking at. I think this is something you have to be extremely concerned about. There is a whack job out there stalking Alexa Bliss. Very angry of Alexa Bliss's fiance. And I could post 10, 20, 30, 40 tweets that this guy has posted. Some of them are deleted, but people screenshotted it beforehand. This guy has set up about 10 different social media accounts stalking Alexa Bliss. Every time she blocks him, he sets up another account begging her. And I just wanted to show you 3. Obviously, there's nothing criminally threatening in these, but just to show you the definition of a sick, twisted individual. There's this guy. Now, again, sorry for the primitive zooming in today, but I want you to get a good look at this guy's face. I mean, obviously, it's a little distorted, but we're not talking about a teenager here. This guy looks like he's got to be at least 30 years old. So let me just reset these back. There we go. And this was one of the last few tweets that he sent Alexa Bliss. And this one, he says, "I know you better than you think. Like you're allergic to strawberries. You love to sing and dance. You love video games. You love coffee, pastries. Your mom's name is Angela Kaufman. Your dad's name is Bob Kaufman. I know these things because I do love you." Then she responds, "Sir, once again for the 1 millionth time, you don't know me. I do not know you. We have never spoken. We have never met. Stop making multiple accounts every time I block you. Stop harassing my fiance. I really don't know how many more times I could say this. Please move on." So this guy responds back, "But I do want to say something else. I wish we could have met and gotten to be a couple and have that chance, but I do really love you. And even though Ryan isn't the right guy for you, and I know that I am, and I know that you know that I am, I don't want to ruin anything for you." So it almost sounds like, look, even though he's not the guy for you, I don't want to ruin anything for you. And then 5 minutes later, he posts this. "See, his wife and kids straight up. And I wish I prove about everything else that I've said about him, but I don't. But at least I love you enough to actually tell you the truth about Ryan." This is not a troll, James Pasco. This is someone who is obsessed with Alexa Bliss. If I sat here and screenshotted all 28 images that were sent to me and just put them on display, we have a whack job. And believe me when I tell you, you go back and you look at some of the messages that were sent to Sonya Deville, it is almost a mirror of each other. I mean, this is the definition of stalking, obsession. In one sentence, I love you, and we're perfect together, and Ryan's not the right person. Leave me alone. But I love you, and I know you, and I don't know you. Yes, here. And this guy is looking up her family information. And again, we're not talking about a teenager who has a teenage crush. I don't know this guy's age, but if you go on his Twitter and you look at his face closely, he's got to be around 30 years old at minimum. But this is scary, scary shit. Yes, celebrities are stalked. Doesn't justify it, whether you're a blue check mark or not. We're talking about Alexa Bliss, 5 feet of fury. This is a girl that, has to go home at night. I don't know where this guy lives. Could you imagine if this guy lives anywhere near her? Could you imagine if this guy, even if he doesn't live near her, he decides one day he's going to make the trip down to where she lives? You know, unfortunately in this day and age, and look, I'm not going to put websites up here to give people ideas against other people out there. I'm not saying anybody tuning in is sick and twisted, but, you know, I'm not going to put it out there. But, you know, there's something called skip tracing, and I did it a lot when I used to work in the banking industry. And there are websites out there that you pay a couple of dollars, and you type in somebody's name and their date of birth. And if you have any idea where they live or where they used to live, you pay $15. You could get their current address. You could get their phone number. You could get the names of their relatives. You could get the relatives' date of births. You could skip trace. It is very shocking, the information you could get. Hell, I've told people in my neighborhood, and a lot of you may not even be aware of this, because this happens in almost all 50 states in the United States. Here in New York, there's a computer system called ACRIS, ACRIS. Now, I'm in the insurance industry, and I write homeowners insurance a lot. And this is true. About 3 weeks ago, I wrote a homeowner's policy for someone. They had just bought the house, and they didn't move in yet. So the insurance company calls me up last week and says, listen, you know, we checked the records, and the records say that the house is owned by some estate. I said, no, those are the people that sold the house. And trust me, when you see where this is going, you understand why this is really, really scary for Alexa Bliss. I said, no, that is the people who sold the house to my customer. So he says, could you get me proof that, you know, that they sold it? So I go on New York City's website, and they have a system called ACRIS, ACRIS. I don't remember what it stands for. But all you have to do is type in the address of a property, and you get to see the deed of the house. You get to see the banking information. You get to see signatures. You get to see loads of personal information. Sometimes you see social security numbers. Any of you out there could go on there right now and type in somebody's New York address. And this happens all across the United States. Now imagine somebody stalking somebody like Alexa Bliss, and you just know the hometown. You pay $15. You get the address. You go on a computer and type in the address. You get that. It is sick. It's twisted, man. It's really twisted. And I'm not trying, again, I'm not trying to be dramatic over here, but I pray to God that nothing happens out of this. I'm hoping that law enforcement takes this seriously. Something tells me that Alexa Bliss, you know, from the stories you hear of people that know her, you know, she's got a very, very kind heart. And, you know that there's people out there that be like, look, I don't want to ruin the guy's life. I just want him to leave me alone. And you could almost picture her saying this. But the thing is, this guy's also harassing her fiance. Can you just imagine what this guy is saying to him? I mean, he's going to her. Oh, I love you. I love you. Could you imagine what that psycho was sending to Mandy Rose? We've never seen those court records yet with that. So if you could imagine, you know, what this guy's trying to tell Alexa Bliss, Lord knows what this guy, I mean, law enforcement's got to take this shit seriously. And I'm sure, again, nobody wants to ruin someone's life, but law enforcement's got to step in. They have to send the message to this guy. This shit is fucking illegal. It's criminal. It's harassment. And something needs to be done. Because, and this is probably the last thing that I'm going to say on this, and the most important thing. Whenever we talk about Sonya Deville's situation, and we're ecstatic that she's able to return, and hopefully, you know, she's been able to, you know, sleep at night a little bit. But what I have always said on these shows, whenever we talk about that situation, I always say this: do not forget that Mandy Rose was also in that house. And Mandy Rose was technically public enemy number one for that psycho. And that psycho, when he drove to Sonya Deville's house, had no idea that Mandy Rose was there. Could you imagine with the stuff that guy had on him if he would have realized that public enemy number one was in that house at the same time? What he could have done? So this is why you can't you have to really be careful. And even though nothing is cross paths with Alexa Bliss in person, you don't think that her mind is rattled going to sleep at night, wondering if this guy is going to show up like that psycho did for Sonya Deville? So even though this comes across as harassing tweets, there is a lot more than that. And man, that's just crazy. I hate seeing shit like that. I mean, we've all in our lifetime have had crushes on people, usually when we're a lot younger, but this is not just someone having a crush on someone. This is stalking, harassment, and obsession. And man, I hope everything works out on that side, because that's terrible. That's terrible. Let's lighten the mood for a second. Yesterday, we mentioned that the New Day had paid a little tribute to Brody Lee on their tights. Well, because of them constantly moving around yesterday, we really didn't get a really close-up good shot of the tights. And I don't recall WWE even mentioning it yesterday, which kind of, did anyone yesterday remember, did WWE make mention of their tights? All right, I know there's like a 3 or 4 second delay on the chat room, but did they mention the New Day's tights in the tribute? Okay, Sam says no. A few people are saying no. That's petty. That's petty on WWE's part. They paid tribute to Brody Lee. At least fucking mention it. Now, what's cool is, which I guess is a consolation, on the website, they posted pictures of it today. So I wanted to share one with all of you out there. That is what they were wearing. I mean, you've heard me say it multiple times over the last 2 weeks. Big E was one of the last people to see Brody before he passed. He was one of the very few in the inner circle, not talking inner circle, AEW, that inner circle, that family, that saw him. Brody Lee was extremely close to these guys. And they paid a beautiful tribute to him yesterday. Again, my apologies for my primitive zooming in, but I just wanted you to see it a little bit more close. I just thought that was so nice. And yes, Kofi was not in the match, but still, there's just a beautiful tribute. And I wish WWE would have at least mentioned it. I mean, I know they've, showed the tributes on the website and everything else, but I mean, come on, man. His name is not toxic on TV. They could have at least said, Big E paying tribute to Brody, or you could have said to Luke Harper, who passed away recently. Very petty. If you really think about it, that was very petty. Because the funny thing is, and I'm not trying to be a jerk right now, but I think if Rey Mysterio was wearing a Spider-Man mask yesterday in the Royal Rumble, I think we probably would have heard one of the announcers saying, Rey paying tribute to Spider-Man, Rey paying tribute to Captain America, blah, 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 paying tribute to Wonder Woman. But you can't say Big E, Xavier Woods, paying tribute to Luke Harper. They could have said John Huber. They could have said anything. I think that's very fucking petty. That's just me. So anyway, let's start wrapping this up a little bit. Let me just get back to some more of the Raw recap. So we talked about Riddle and Bobby Lashley. Xavier Woods taking on Mustafa Ali. We had some members of Retribution at ringside. This almost felt like the blow-off between Xavier Woods and Mustafa Ali. The problem is, we thought this storyline was leading to Mustafa Ali versus Kofi Kingston, and Kofi is now ready to return. They kept him off of the Royal Rumble. So I don't know where this goes right now, but I'm hoping we get a little bit of a feud, because that would make Retribution look awfully stupid. Because if you remember, when Ali first got injured and Kofi took his spot in the chamber, and the rest is history, and Kofi became heavyweight champion, I said at that time that when Ali returns, he should turn heel and say, that should have been me. And does that sound familiar? They did that with Dolph Ziggler. It should have been me. No, that should have been Ali's storyline. They waited 2 years, 3 years for Ali to spit out of his mouth. That should have been me. And now you do nothing with it? Seriously, WWE better think twice. We got to have a feud with Ali and Kofi Kingston. It's got to happen. Maybe you have Retribution attack and lay out Kofi in the back. Maybe next week on Raw. And that's a message sent to Kofi. They cannot move away from the story. I don't think they will. I think this feud will continue. But we need something to happen next week. We need something to happen for sure. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander beating the Lucha House Party. My God. I mean, I like WWE is letting Lucha House Party show what they got. Show what we always knew they had. And they're showcasing it more in NXT than anything else. But we are getting an overdose of Lucha House Party the last couple of weeks. They got a tag title shot tonight. They lost. But the storyline continues, the friction between Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. I'm assuming as soon as they lose those tag titles, we will see Shelton and Cedric go at it. It still feels like the Hurt Business might be imploding. And I know a lot of you will agree with me. Why? Why? I mean, like I said a few weeks ago, unless somebody's contract is coming to an end or there's something else that they're playing, why split them up? No, who's that? WWE's not imploding. Look at that deal they just did with Peacock. And think about the fact that Peacock has 33 million subscribers. Not every one of them is going to go on a WWE channel on Peacock. But when you think about 1.5 million subscribers, whatever they have, if Peacock could get 10% of their viewers to check out some WWE content, if they're not full paying subscribers, think of all that ad revenue. Oh my God. But Shelton and Cedric, they beat the Lucha House Party, but the storyline tonight, once again, Cedric Alexander is about to land his finishing move, and Shelton Benjamin tags himself in and nails his finisher and gets the win. So MVP is in the middle of the ring with Cedric on one side and Shelton on the other. And, Cedric is like, all right. Like he's kind of like pissed off that Shelton tagged himself in. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now, by the way. Nice conversation going. I see everybody's convo. But you see Cedric just staring down Shelton Benjamin, and Shelton Benjamin's got that, part of my language, that asshole look on his face. Like, yeah, I take myself in. Yeah. They're all acting like assholes. They're the Hurt Business. They were tormenting people backstage. They were bullying people. So that's what bullies do. Sometimes they do it to each other. They're trolling each other. The only thing is, when WWE does it, usually leads to a split. And I don't know if I want to see the Hurt Business split up. They're actually one of my high points of watching Raw. But Lashley tonight, oh my God, that guy, just everything. I mean, he legit looked like he wanted to kill somebody. I mean, I was finished that tonight like, Lashley, just finish it. Just end Riddle. And Riddle, give Riddle credit, because Riddle sold everything perfectly. It was great, man. It's just Bobby Lashley looks like he is snapped. And remember what I said a few weeks ago. I'm starting to get that vibe that Lashley is just going to be like, look, I'm sick of this shit. The back and forth with Shelton and Cedric. And, him kind of like having some words with MVP tonight. Just get that weird feeling that Lashley is going to walk off and say, I'm done. We'll see where it goes. What else we got tonight? Jeff Hardy and Carlito over Elias and Jaxson Ryker. You know, Carlito looked great yesterday. Carlito hasn't lost the beat. I love the facial hair. I mean, you know, when he first came in and didn't have any of that, I mean, yes, at that different time, different era, but he's got the look and he's got the bulk now. I've been saying that about Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara is not going to get to 245, but Sammy Guevara could put like another 10, 20 pounds of muscle on. You know, some people think that Cody put 20 pounds of muscle on. That kind of seems a little bit high, but Sammy puts another 15 to 20 pounds of muscle on, you know, the right way. I'm not saying to do roids like others have, but you could see, you know, the possibilities for that guy. And I'm not saying that he can't do it at his size, but trust me, especially in professional wrestling, larger-than-life stars, you know, you look at Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal came back and had an unbelievable physique. And I know some people think, you know, different reasons how he got it, but look at the push he got. Drew McIntyre came back in unbelievable physique. Now, Drew McIntyre is obviously uber talented as well, and that's the main reason why he got the push. But, you know, you're not going to have him, you know, with flabby, you know, tummy and putting the spike in the ground. Imagine Drew McIntyre doing that, and he's got the tummy, and as he's pulling it down, his tits are jiggling a little bit. You're not going to do that. He looks like a Greek god, sort of, you know? So, I don't know, but I enjoyed the match with Jeff Hardy and Carlito, but I was going to get to this earlier. Why are we still having Elias going at it with Jeff Hardy? Do you remember that feud was over like a month ago, and then they had another match, and like, why the fuck are they having another match? This storyline is over. They keep going back to these two. People are laughing. Seriously, just picture Drew spiking it down, and as he's going down like this. If I was shirtless right now, you'd see mine go like this. But why is Jeff Hardy in the ring with Elias still? I mean, it's almost comical. Like, I'm almost expecting Samoa Joe to laugh at this point that they're still in the ring. I mean, they're actually saying, like, this feud was over. Yeah, it was. It won't end. It won't end. So that's pretty much Raw tonight. I mean, Alexa Bliss beat Nikki Cross, which we said earlier. Edge defeated Randy Orton, a fun match. Alexa Bliss with the distraction and the fake blood coming out of the mouth. You know, it looks disturbing. It looks disturbing. But remember, it's 11 o'clock at night, too. But a lot of kids do like Alexa Bliss, so they do see all this stuff. But, you know, I guess when we see next week Alexa Bliss coming out and she's skipping to the ring and she's happy and all that, I guess that's the way to console the kids. Like, no, she's fine. She's fine. No, she's just playing pretend. You know how many parents are probably telling their kids, no, she's playing pretend. And could you imagine, and trust me, you know that there's some kids, I'm not going to do it with this, but you know some kids that are pouring grape juice in their mouth tomorrow, and they're like, look, Mom, I'm Alexa Bliss. And there's like grape juice going all over their shirt and everything like that. Believe me, because I probably would have done something like that when I was a kid. The only thing I wouldn't have done when I was a kid was Blade. So, not a bad episode of Raw, I tell you. You look at this match results tonight. Let me read this to you. Riddle over Lashley. Xavier Woods over Ali. Damian Priest over The Miz. Shelton and Cedric over the Lucha House Party. Naomi and Lana over Asuka and Charlotte. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Jeff Hardy and Carlito over Elias and Jaxson Ryker. Alexa Bliss over Nikki Cross and Edge over Randy Orton. That feels like a fun card. And you know what's great about it? We didn't have wrestlers wrestle 2 and 3 times like they've been doing the last couple of weeks. We had a very diverse roster tonight. I enjoyed it. Wasn't a spectacular Raw, but I liked it. I thought today's Raw was pretty damn good. So, with that said, I'm looking through my notes. Oh, you know, I wanted to mention this because obviously he was a wrestling fan and he was involved a little bit of wrestling, but it's a tragedy. If anybody remembers, I think it was 2 weeks ago on the Thursday show, Ask DT, we were talking about Screech, Saved by the Bell. And when we heard that he was in the hospital and it was stage 4 cancer, you'll remember we were talking about it, and it was stage 4 cancer, but we didn't know what type of cancer it was, and we were hoping that he would be okay. He passed away today, 44 years old. We found out that he had stage 4 lung cancer. I actually took a couple of notes down. In January, and this kind of upset me, because for any of you out there that remember my cancer scare about 2.5 years ago, on Patreon, I posted my results. And they used words like metastasized and metastatic and things like that. And those are the C words. And trust me when I tell you, and I think that kind of shook me to my foundation, and it really lit a fire under my ass to, let's have fun to the umpteenth degree over here. And that's why the video ended up going and everything else and full steam ahead, and it ain't stopping. But when you get those words given to you and you think you got cancer, you think that your days are numbered and you're going to miss your family, and it rattles you, man. So what happened to Dustin Diamond, Screech, was that in January, he started getting pain on his body and didn't understand why he had the pain. He had pain all over his body. And he just felt off. Like something just didn't feel right. Went to the hospital, had a battery of tests done, and they found that he had stage 4 lung cancer. And he passed away. He had his first round of chemotherapy, and the chemo could not contain it, and he died. That's tragic. That's sad. I know Dustin Diamond has had a lot of demons in his life. There's been a little bit of controversy with him over the years. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I've joked in the past that Saved by the Bell was not one of those shows that I enjoyed. In fact, I remember it was Wednesday Night Dynamite 2 weeks ago when I said that sometimes you change the channel. Okay. All right. Check it out, everybody. Check it out. Check it out. 1 second. All right. My apologies, everybody. My apologies. Listen, we got to end the show. Here in New York, we're getting hit with snow. We didn't have that much snow today. I think we had about 6 inches of snow. Wasn't that much. They were saying we were going to get 2 feet of snow. I think it was like 4 to 6 inches. Problem is, my internet just went down. I literally just had to hotspot my phone to get the connection back. Cell phone is not the proper connection to do a podcast, but we have a connection. So I wanted to just come back up here as an emergency and, just let you know we're probably going to have to end this early because right now I'm doing the show using my cell phone connection. But, we have horrible weather. I didn't go to the office today. I had to drive my fiance home this morning, which sucked because we were in the middle of a blizzard. Came home and worked from the house today. Tomorrow's probably going to be the same thing because we have snow, I think, up until Wednesday morning. So my apologies for it disconnecting, but I always keep this as an emergency. That's why I always say, always give advice to people out there. If you're going to do a show, you have to know how to do things and always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. I have 2 recordings always going on. I always keep an emergency internet connection just in case something goes down. I tell you the truth, how's the connection right now? Because I honestly think this is the first time that I'm ever doing video tapping into my phone. I'm curious, how's the connection? I'm just checking it out. So people say it looks good. So you know what? Let me finish my conversation. And if we get cut off, then that's it. We'll be finished. I don't know how much you heard of what I said about Dustin Diamond. Did you hear any of the story about my nephew, 31 years old, that his lungs are shot from vaping? Did you hear any of that, or was I already cut off when I said that? My apologies. Okay. Did you hear anything of what I said earlier about my nephew? All right, none of it. Okay. What I was saying is that I wonder if Dustin Diamond vaped and vaped excessively, because my nephew, who is 31 years old, for the last 6 months or so, my aunt has been telling my mother that he has a little bit of a cough that didn't go away, that he would just once in a while during the day would go just like that. And great shape, no issues whatsoever. And recently he started feeling like like just out of breath more often, like walk a flight of stairs and be totally out of breath. Went to the hospital and they ran a battery test, and it ended up that one of his lungs are completely shot because of vaping. And apparently he's one of these that vaped for years and just vaped and vaped and vaped, thinking it was okay to do. And now he's got massive lung problems because of it. So I could only imagine, how does somebody 44 years old get lung cancer like that? I don't recall if Screech ever smoked, but I wonder if he vaped, because more and more you hear about these really tragic stories of people really young getting some massive lung problems because of vaping. I bought a vape pen about 4 or 5 years ago. Some of you will remember it. And I got like all the flavors and all that. I vaped for about 2 weeks because I missed smoking. I know for some of you out there going to be like, oh, that's a nasty habit. I missed smoking. Smoking used to relax me. And I quit about 20 years ago. And I thought vaping would be healthy. And I started reading about the horror stories. I threw it right in the garbage. Nasty habit to get into it, threw it right in the garbage. By the way, I know a lot of you asked earlier, my dad is supposed to get a COVID test done tomorrow because Thursday he's supposed to get a couple of stents put in his heart. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the test tomorrow, but each day that goes by and he doesn't have these stents in there, I lose sleep because, you remember the tragedy with my uncle. That's his brother. So heart problems run in the family. So if we don't get too much snow tonight, then hopefully my father's COVID test is still on, because he has to get a COVID test before they'll let him go to the hospital to get the stents put in on Thursday. So we'll see what happens. You remember when we talked about the announcement, WWE moving to Peacock, and I can't play the video. I know if I play this video, it'll fry any internet connection I have right now. But you remember I showed you in like 20 seconds, I was able to log off the WWE network and log on to Peacock. That's all you got to do. And you have the content. OkayFabe, what's going on, my brother? I don't know if I can actually get your super chat right now. Let me see if I can. Crazy Cruiserweight gave me his. Yeah, you know what? It might pop up, it might not. If I can't get it on the screen right now, I'm sorry, because my internet went out. So I don't think this will connect. But thank you for that. That was very kind of you, my friend. And, I'm pretty much ready whenever you want to come on. Yeah, we got to do it. Let me see. Yeah. So I can only verbally shout you out tonight. But thank you for that. That was very kind of you. But you remember when I talked about, that takes 20 seconds. Well, Vic Joseph went on Corey Graves' podcast, and I love it. I love it. I'm actually, I probably am going to get cursed out, or I wouldn't say cursed out. I'm sure he probably doesn't mind I say this, but, I might get a little bit of heat from him. But I am friendly online with Vic Joseph's brother. Vic Joseph's brother is one of my longtime patrons. Really good guy. You know, we talk a little bit about wrestling here and there, and he knows my appreciation for Vic Joseph already. Not because his brother's a patron or anything like that, but I have an appreciation for Vic Joseph. I have an even bigger appreciation of Vic Joseph after what he said to Corey Graves about people complaining online about WWE moving to Peacock. And this is Vic Joseph's quote about the people complaining. He said, and I quote, "It all comes down to one word, laziness." As I'm reading this, just remember my video from last week, that 20 seconds, this perfect what he said. He said it comes down to laziness. He only says this because he's talked to his younger siblings. People are just too lazy to download something that is new, to put in their information, to sit there and punch in numbers. They'll do it eventually, but right now they're complaining about it. It's the same thing you had to do when you got the WWE Network to begin with. He said, what's the big deal? It's such a big waste of time. It's all laziness, and the laziness of some people in society are the same ones that speak down about the move. They have to do something different, and you save $5. This all goes back to laziness. They'll complain that you can't fill your gas tank. They'll complain about, he's spot on, man. So spot on. People, it blows my mind. And I don't want to delve too deep into this because someone out there will, you know, accuse me of trying to take shots at people out there. But, you know, I think back to years and years and years ago when I started doing the podcast online, and there was little things that I could have done, me myself could have done. I could have downloaded this software and it would have eliminated half of my problems with audio. I could have downloaded this other software and it would have simplified me recording shows. I could have downloaded this, and all it was a simple click, 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 done. And it's just amazing that everything is there to take, and people won't do it. They rather just, you know what it reminds me of? Seriously, you know what it reminds me of? How many of you out there have ever seen TV skits of this? We may have been guilty of it in the past. Your remote control for your TV. How many of you have ever seen this before? You're laying in bed, or you see on a TV show somebody's laying in bed. Al Bundy used to do it. And you need the remote control to change the channel. And you're laying in bed and the remote control is on the dresser on the other side of the room. And instead of just getting up, walking to the other side of the room and changing the channel, you lay in bed and you watch a TV show that you don't want to watch, but you're too lazy to get up to change the freaking channel. That's what it comes down to. Andre Corbeil, what's going on? Got to get Connor, OkayFabe, on here in the next couple of weeks if you want to just chat about anything. And I definitely want Andre to come up here. Like I said, you know, the last 24 hours, I've been working on getting these shows streamed on other platforms because people have been asking about Twitch and other things. Tomorrow, the membership should be available. Tomorrow, the new shirt store should be available. Once those start going, then I start working on the Thursday show and the templates, and so we could do some stuff. I'm telling you, we'll have a ball, man. I'm not wasting any time on this channel. We dominated January. Life still sucks. COVID is still fucking up everything. But under the circumstances, I think us as a family did pretty decent in January. I think we had a lot of fun just keeping our minds off of all that crap out there. And February, want to grab it by the balls, man. February, I want to up this even more. So, whose dad thinks his keyboard broke? Well, you just typed that, whose dad? So something tells me your keyboard is just fine. Unless you did like an Alexa thing and said, type this. But anyway, I think we are done. How long did we go? All right, a little bit. Well, actually, you know what? It says an hour and 54 minutes, but I know that the video paused while I had that internet outage. And, you know, from looking at my computer right now, my internet is still completely out. Right now, you got it because of my phone. So I'm going to jet out of here while I could still, before we get I don't ever want to rudely cut you all off. And I don't want anybody sitting there reloading, wondering if I'm coming back. So I am going to bid you farewell for now. On your way out, as I always ask, if you enjoyed today's show, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That tells YouTube you're enjoying the show. I know a lot of you do it later on. Most of you check out the shows on the archive, and I know some of you out there, it's not easy with Roku's, you know, to find it, but whenever you can, I'd appreciate it. Spread the word. If you know anyone out there that you think would like this channel, let them know about it. And I'd be more than happy to shout them out for you. You don't have to super chat it or anything like that. Just let me know and I'll shout somebody out. I just thank you for the support. It's very humbling to have that type of support from all of you out there. And you'll see it in the video I recorded for the memberships, but I'll repeat it here now. I hope I'm living up to your expectations. You know, I'll never be polished, I'll never be perfect, and I'll never be professional like all these other podcasters out there that just have that extra oomph. But one thing you get from me is honesty, straight up, organic. Tell it like it is. Pisses people off, oh well. You know, I'd rather be honest with you and not beat around the bush, and maybe I insult people in the process, but, you know, you get authenticity from me. And that's something that is probably like my rule number one when I do this. But everyone, have a great night. For our Patreon family, I'm assuming Mish will feel better tomorrow to do the show. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm pretty certain that he'll be on, but if not, you know, maybe we postpone tomorrow's Patreon show until, you know, later in the week, or I'll leave it up to you as far as what you want. If you want me to come on tomorrow solo, we'll see what happens. But I'll be here on YouTube and Twitch and all the other outlets Wednesday night, 10:05 p.m. Eastern for Wednesday Night Dynamite. We will recap NXT. We will recap AEW, and we'll see if NXT overtakes AEW in the ratings this week. Going to be an interesting week. It's going to be a real interesting week. NXT would be absolute fools to not try to grab this week by the balls, because you see some of the stuff advertised for AEW. I'm not knocking AEW, but if there was ever a week that NXT tries to go for it, just to stick it to AEW, because NXT is a marathon, not a sprint, as they always say. But if there was ever a week for them to put on their best clothes, you know, put on their nice suit, you know, and just really put it all out there, this is the week to do it. Yes, NXT TakeOver is the following week, but still, they need to really knock it out of the park this week. And you know what? If NXT knocks it out of the park, that might force AEW's hand. I think this storyline with Impact Wrestling is going to go to the next level. I'm convinced the Battle of the Belts that they're copyrighting, they're trademarking, is going to be for the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers. Winner take all for all the belts. I think that's coming. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what build happens this Wednesday. Darren Gordon-Hill, good morning. I always say good night to everyone, but there's a lot of you out there that are outside the United States tuning in right now. So I wish you a good morning. So little roll call before I go. Good night and good day to Austin Nance, Darren Gordon-Hill, Sam, Soulfly, C-Med, Ken Terminator by DQ, Pat, Chris Farver. Let's see. There's always a little delay. That's why you hear little pauses with me with some names. Psycho 187, James Earl Cash, Who's Dad? Puffy 89, Dorian M.S. If you want a little quick shout out, just type something now very quickly, because I am going to cut off in a minute. Quadruple H, good night to you, my friend. Johnny, good night to you. JL, adios, amigo. Liam Savage, Pancho Serrano, Wow, you sound like that Pedro. No, that's Pedro Serrano from Major League. Look, Major League. There he is. Vaughn, number 99. Austin, John Belinda, Chris, CF. I don't speak Japan, so my apologies. Mark Anderson, Kavan Lewis, Chris Silva. Good night, everybody. Have a great night. Stay safe. All the best. And stay strong, man. Stay strong. Darren, Anthony, Liam, and good night, everybody. I'm going to jet out of here. Let's get this show online. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how I get all this stuff online, just tapping into the cell phone. So hopefully it doesn't take me forever. If you look at my Twitter from last night, I was on Twitter till about 6 o'clock this morning. I didn't want to wait until today to put everything online. I just wanted it up there as early as possible for everyone. So I got about an hour's sleep yesterday. So I'm a little overtired, but I'm going to pop an Ambien within 30 minutes, and thank God I don't have to do too much of a synopsis tonight. And Mish, if you hear this, get well soon, my brother. And I'll catch you all again Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. So good night, everybody. Take care. All the best.